thank you to Marist University and to the Marist Red Fox Club for supporting this, letting us use the boathouse, and really all the logistical support around it. I don't know how to connect computers to wires. I don't know how to do that. So they were here. They were here helping yesterday and this morning. So thanks again for that. The next presenter while we're eating is Kristen Sheehan. She's from the Play Like a Champion Today organization. This is the conference that I had the pleasure of attending last summer, and where I was introduced to the Kevin Love Fund and kind of the catalyst for my desire to be involved in what we're doing here. We're going to have a little bit of technical issues here. I think usually Kristen would have like a little bit of an interactive session, but we can't really get that to work too well. If anybody does have any questions, we can kind of direct them to Lucia. Lucia will pass them on through the laptop, and we'll try to get those answered. But I think the program is really fantastic about the again, intentional support of youth athletes as they're like participating in sports. A lot of it is about keeping them playing sports at whatever level that might be, up to and including, right, like just playing in the backyard with their friends, and what those experiences or trauma or traumas that kids can experience in their life or on the playing field, how that can impact the way that they see themselves and their future participation in sports and with society, I think, in general. That's what I got out of it. Kristen will hopefully do a lot better job of explaining that program to you. And I'm going to pass it off to her then now. Thanks.
Thank you, CJ, and hello, everyone. I can see a bit of the room, and Lucia shared the room. It looks like a wonderful crowd. It's a true pleasure. Hi, see you waving. Such a pleasure to be with you. Just a little bit about myself. I am a Notre Dame graduate. Double dover is what they call people who have 2 degrees from Notre Dame, undergrad in theology and gender studies, and a master's in psychology, and had the opportunity to join Play Like a Champion Today when it was founded by a professor at the University of Notre Dame who was coaching his kids and saw things that surprised him, behaviors that he felt were misplaced in youth sport. He had a group of 7th grade girls in a Sunday afternoon in a basketball gym, and they refused to shake hands following a competition. And he called the girls over and he said, "Girls, this is tradition. We shake hands. It's a sign of sportsmanship." And the girls said to him, "Dr. Power, we wanted to shake hands, but our coach wouldn't let us." And so we thought, a coach directing kids to show a lack of sportsmanship. What is that teaching them? And another afternoon, he had to break up a fight in the stands of that basketball arena between 2 parents. So he said, "Gosh, is this just happening in South Bend, Indiana? Or is this something that's going on across the country?" So he did what professors like to do. He did a research study. And he published an article that was called Youth Sport Behavior. The subtitle was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And it detailed, we say sports builds character. So that's what my first slide here says. Do you believe sports build character? Maybe just a show of hands. I'm seeing a lot of hands go up. I see a thumbs up. Most people probably are raising their hand. But what Clark's research revealed was that, yes, we're influencing young minds and forming character, but there's nothing anecdotally or in an empirical way that putting on a uniform makes you have better character. What he found from the research study is that what was modeled in the environment of that sport experience by the adults, typically if we're talking youth and high school sports, was what kids were learning about character. And if the modeling was representing poor character, those are the lessons that kids were taking away from their sport experience. So Clark said, "But gosh, we know sports can be wholly good for kids. And so let's create an educational series." He's a professor. He's like, "I believe in the power of education to change hearts and minds. So let's create an educational series to ensure that sports and the good character it is intended to emit is what is the case for our youth. And so that gave rise to Play Like a Champion. So back up just a little from that original research that Clark did. These were some of the causes for concern that were identified in youth and high school sports. And I just, maybe Lucia, you could tell me, or just ask a question. What up on the screen is illuminating for you that you see in your world as a concern?
You guys can answer.
Yeah, I'll relay it.
She might not hear you, but
I'll
we'll hear
relay
you.
it. What was that? I said shortage of officials. Shortage of officials.
Huge shortage. And why is that?
Parents.
Parents, I think parents often can be abusive. Coaches sometimes too. And it becomes just not worth it for officials anymore. And you know, they're the keepers of the morality and the ethics of the game. So what does that say about youth sport if we're chasing away the keepers of the game? So again, some causes for concern, and so Play Like a Champion's goal is to address those concerns from a perspective of a lack of morality or unethical behavior by those adults in the environment that are pushing away officials, that are pushing away children. 70% of kids would drop out of sport by the age of 13. And that, I believe, is a national tragedy if we know the good that sport can do for kids in the right environment. So this is just a little summary slide of what we've been talking about. We know sports builds champions because we have trophy cases in our schools. We say sports can build character, but we just talked about it really depends on the environment based on the research. And in some cases, sports actually build characters. Just driving home the point that children are taking in what they see, the lessons that are in front of them. And so coaches are behaving in inappropriate ways, or their language is inappropriate toward the officials or toward the other team or even toward their own athletes. These are the lessons that kids are taking. So in comes Play Like a Champion. We say we work in an educational setting to provide coaches, parents, and athletes with research-based curriculum to ensure sport does give good character lessons, impacts the morality of athletes, and intentionally doing so in a trauma-informed environment. So we say this is really a comprehensive game plan, providing education for all of those elements in sport in a mission-driven environment. Everything is research-based and child-centered, going back to what is best for children in sport, because sometimes the adults can think, oh, this is what's best, but they're coming at it from an adult perspective. So we go back to the children's perspective and the research along what's best for youth. And our goal is to develop high-performance athletes. Of course, we're concerned about effective athletics, but at the same time, if we only are concerned about the outcome and the physical development, we've lost this incredible opportunity to help kids grow socially, emotionally, morally, and even spiritually in a sport experience if you're working in a faith-based athletic program. Here's what Play Like a Champion offers from that comprehensive approach. Coach Clinic at the youth and high school level. Parent Like a Champion workshop, which is a companion curriculum to help the parents be on the same page as to the overall purpose and process of sport. We also have Play Like a Champion for officials. You say we have an official shortage. And officials love this workshop because they learn in this workshop what coaches are supposed to be doing, what parents are supposed to be doing in a positive environment. We have some athlete programming, we have the player handbook, we have some retreats, some leadership development seminars, and that also includes a physical education curriculum for middle school students. And then ongoing education for our partners, because a coach clinic or a parent workshop is great, but we want to ensure that the philosophy stays in front of the community. So there's a continual reminding of what creating an elevated sport environment that's fully developmental for kids truly looks like. So every Tuesday we send notes and reminders to our partner community. Our objectives is character development. We talked about that. We talked about the role of a coach, that they're mentors and they're meant to be trusted adults, which feeds into that trauma-informed environment. And then we follow our mantra, play like a champion. I've got it up here on my office wall. It starts with play. We talk about sports as playful for kids and how we garner that playfulness. Then we profile what it means to truly be a champion. And we have an approach that we call GROW, that's based in motivational psychology that we will share with you here. And then finally, we have a section on positive partnerships with parents. In addition to our educational work, we also work in neighborhoods of concentrated poverty to increase access for children to have the opportunity to play sports. Only 1 in 3 children from a low-income family will have the opportunity to play, and half of children from low-income families play at only half the rate as children from middle to higher income families. And so we say that's a moral ill, and that we want children, all children, to have that opportunity to play. We say it's a child's right. So we call this a team for every child, and we work in 3 neighborhoods of concentrated poverty in the city of Chicago, here in our own city of South Bend, Indiana, and then in North Philadelphia. Taking in account what is available in the community and expanding opportunities through this collective impact model. And so here are a couple of our partner organizations in Chicago and also in South Bend and in North Philadelphia. So back to our educational approach. So we start with play like a champion today. And just let's have a couple people answer out, and Lucy, if you'll give me the responses. This was a research study done where children are asked, why do you play sports? And what's up on the screen were all reasons kids gave for playing, but there was a number 1 reason. What do you think that was?
Have fun and to be part of the team.
I heard you say it, and have fun was by far the number 1. These are all reasons, and all really good reasons for kids to play. But for both boys and girls, number 1 was have fun. And so we have a little fun with the words have fun. And the implication of this is we start every coach clinic with, how are you ensuring there is some joy, there is fun in the practice? And of course, depending on the level, we're not talking about just all fun and games and a free-for-all, but focused fun that is developmental in nature. And so we get coaches talking, sharing techniques. How do you ensure that your drills are upbeat, are engaging? There's not kids standing around. So we get lots of shared ideas with coaches. And in our workshops, we also pause for coaches to take a written intentional takeaway. I heard CJ say there's an intentionality about this. And so we ask them to write, okay, from all these ideas you just heard, what are you going to intentionally do in your practices leading up to ensure kids are experiencing that joy? And then we also cover long-term athlete development. So we've learned from research again that the youth sport culture is actually undercutting our highest development levels. So the U.S. Olympic Committee researched and created this long-term athlete development model, or the American development model, so that we're encouraging athletes to not specialize too early, too soon, because that actually leads to emotional burnout, physical injury, and we found at the highest levels of elite athleticism, we aren't getting the biggest pool of athletes due to our specialized sport culture. So we do a little bit of education for coaches around this, and also parents. I've done so many parent workshops, and parents come up to me and say, but I gotta get my kid to specialize because everyone else is doing it. And so we just point to the research, point to the facts around this. All right, so here's another discussion. If we're talking about what is a champion, could a few of you just yell out some characteristics when you think of a champion? What are some adjectives, what are some qualities you think of as a true champion?
Discipline.
Discipline?
Competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Shows up. Resilience. What was that?
I always say fight for something bigger than themselves.
By
Engaged.
and felt engaged,
Open the feedback.
open to feedback.
Mhm.
Willing to put the time in.
willing to
Hard
put the
worker.
time in, hard worker.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. And what we do at Play Like a Champion is we summarize these qualities of a champion into 3 categories. And the first category are ones that coaches and parents often automatically attach to a champion. Hard worker. These are related to achievement goals. So hard worker, determination, victorious, talented. These are important and qualities of a champion. Sometimes coaches and parents just leave it at that. And so we stretch this idea of a champion and we take it into 2 additional categories. The second category are social values, how athletes relate to one another. I heard CJ say, are we thinking of the bigger picture? Am I thinking of my teammates and my whole team and my opponents? Am I compassionate? Am I kind to my teammates, to my opponents? A social value too, I heard somebody say coachable. These are social values implicit in sport. The next category are the moral values, and this has to do with leadership. This has to do with playing with integrity, owning accountability in sport. And so we encourage coaches to think beyond just those achievement related, those physical values, including social, emotional, and moral values. And we believe that every young person, even those who aren't as athletically gifted, can develop and grow in these whole champion characteristics. And so I promised this idea of a grow approach. So grow is based in self-determination theory, which is the psychological theory of motivation. Psychologists study what is motivating to people. And they found that when people feel competent, connected, and in control, they're more motivated to put forth the effort to be successful. So we put these words into sport language. And we say when young people set goals and have some success in achieving their goals, they're going to feel competent. When young people have positive relationships in the sport environment with coach, to their players on their team, they're going to have that sense of connection. And then finally, they'll have control if we are providing athletes with ownership over their own team experience. And that equals the desire to strive to really be successful or to win in that whole sport environment. And then we relate virtues and values. We're talking about what it means to be a champion from a virtue perspective. And we actually have up here the cardinal virtues, which date back to Aristotle, to the Greeks, and they're called the cardinal virtues. So these are cardinal virtues or hinge virtues around which all those other values we just spoke about revolve. And so when we're attending to these psychological traits for our athletes, we're also building who they are as people of character and virtue. We also mentioned incorporate some neuroscience research into our workshops, teaching coaches about near-P science. And so near-P takes on the reality of ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences, which are experiences of trauma or stress in a young person's neurodevelopmental periods. So in a young person. And what these periods of stress do is they press upon our genetics and they impact people's behavior or responses or patterns of behavior. And so when athletes are perhaps breaking into tears or pulling back or getting angry in game situations, we help coaches to recognize there could be some biology or neuroscience going into these behaviors. Often coaches might think, oh, that kid's just acting up or misbehaving. And so we want to help them to see that there could be some trauma behind that. And the good news about sport is that sport can be a positive childhood experience. Sport should be a positive childhood experience for kids if we do it in a trauma-informed environment. And coaches can be protective factors. A protective factor is a trusted adult, somebody a young person can count on to go to in times of stress or trouble. The other thing that happens in sport is resilience building. That in sport, if we've created a safe space for kids to fail without getting angry at them or yelling at them or making them feel like a failure, but helping them to see experiences of challenges or failures as opportunities to grow, to get better, to strengthen oneself. This builds their resilience, which helps buffer kids from previous trauma or from ACEs. So we talked to coaches about 6 principles of being trauma informed in their coaching environment. So creating a safe space, physically and psychologically, being that trusted adult as a coach, helping the athletes relate to one another in a peer support, giving kids, and this speaks to that ownership, giving kids voice and choices, which builds their empowerment and helps them to feel they own the team. And then, of course, paying attention to anything that might have to do with gender or historic or cultural issues on the team. So you can see a link there to some of those additional resources about trauma. We also have a parent workshop. As you mentioned, parents can drive away officials. Parents can put a lot of pressure on athletes. And so it's really critical to talk to parents about how they can be truly helpful to their own children, but also pay attention to the whole team. One of the research stats that I love that comes out of our parent workshop is parents all of a sudden discover there are other children on the team other than their own child, and that they should care about all of the children on the team. They're all children. And so I just wanted to share with you our guidelines for sidelines. So we talk about toxic sideline behaviors. So we share with them that coaching from the sidelines really is very distracting to the athletes, and it's disrespectful to the coach, and it isn't the parent role. And so instead, we encourage parents to make positive, encouraging statements rather than commands, not commanding their athlete to do something, but also cheering for the whole team. We certainly shouldn't cheer when an opponent makes a mistake, but to cheer for good plays, even if it's not your child. Maybe it's a good play on the other team, celebrating the goodness of growth for all children. And here's where we address the officials. We talk to parents about always treating the official with respect. And it's really the coach's job. If the official is not making the right calls or is not really seeing what's going on, the coach has the opportunity to model respect right in front of his or her team in sharing that information with the coach in a positive way. We should never taunt the other children. This is one of the things that we see in our research, that children say they were taunted by adults. Again, thinking about, well, what does this mean for grown-ups to be putting down the children when they're playing? And we should never cheer when a player is injured. And so this is our reminder to parents about positive sideline behavior. So how they show up in the sport environment matters. And also then we talk with them how they can really be helpful with their own child and their own child's journey, sport journey. Everything we do has a research base to it. And so we survey the coaches and the parents afterwards. And we find that by and large, they're satisfied with the clinic and that they intend to implement some of the things that they've learned, particularly about having discussions with their team about ethics, about values, about what it means to be a champion in a holistic way. And they also, big takeaway is this idea of ownership, giving athletes that voice on their team and not just over controlling what they do. Parents, their takeaways are looking at being more of a positive influence and learning ways they can really be more encouraging and supportive of their own athlete. We also have materials on the exceptional athlete. So when coaches have somebody on their team who is maybe on the autistic spectrum disorder or is ADHD or there might be an intellectual disability, we have these intentional resources to assist them so that all athletes in a team experience can be successful. So that's my summary. I wish I got to hear more from you, but I'm glad we got you talking a little bit. Lucia, thank you for relaying that information. And thank you for listening to the Play Like a Champion philosophy. I wish you all a wonderful champion afternoon moving forward, and grateful for the opportunity to say hi to you.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, yeah, so thanks again, Kristen. Like I said before, last year I was able to go out to Notre Dame, and take part in their conference that they had there. It's a really amazing experience. And one of the cool things that came from that, obviously, was one, a relationship with Kristen, which I've been really thankful for. But we were able to bring Kristen out, and she ran these programs for the St. Martin CYO program coaches and some of the parents. We did a workshop. We did these trainings for our coaches, and part of kind of like that deal for me was that going out there, going through the conference, going through some trainings that were there, and then helping Kristen to do the local trainings. I became kind of certified. I haven't done any additional trainings, and I'm not sure if I'd be good at it or not. But it's. I think what's great. There'd be two plugs for it. Is one, if you are interested or have anybody that you know that would be interested in going, it's a really great experience. I would suggest you take a look at it. About going out to South Bend and taking part in their conference. I don't know, hundreds of people were there last year. I expect it's probably a similar number this year. Lots of the speakers and the organizations that are there are really inspirational and great to hear from them. And you get to walk around South Bend and see some pretty cool stuff there. This year, the Notre Dame Club of the Mid-Hudson Valley, who sponsored my I guess scholarship to go out to every year they do that. We're sending Sean Keenan, who many of you may know. He's been a teacher locally and a football coach. We're sending him out this year, and I know he's very excited about that. So take a look at that. And with that, I think we're gonna probably keep moving because I know everybody probably got other places to go. But Kristen, thank you so much. And if you have any of these slides that you can send to us as well, that we can maybe send out if there's anything. I know I saw some people taking some photos of some of the slides, so if we have the deck, we can probably get that out to everybody too. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you. Have a good rest of the
We did not spring for table service, so I will ask that if you have any of the paper plates or any of the garbage, there are garbage receptacles in the back of the room, so we just kind of help out with the staff on that end. We are going to kind of move some things around. We're going to take a quick, 5-minute break to get some things set up. We're going to show a video quickly while we set up as well for the panel and the Q&A.